I'm Michelle.
And I'm Joy.
I live in the US.
And I live in England.
And we were across the world
on a mission.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. If you have been joining us for the first time, we have been telling our story about going across the world on a mission and sharing the message of love and salvation to others. And we've been sharing for quite some time now, so we've almost come to the final phases of our journey. And today we're going to be talking about friends we've made, families we've made while we were across the world on a mission. It was not just a mission for us to share God, but we were able to gain new friends and family as a result of this trip or these trips. So, yeah, we're going to begin our new episode now, and we're going to be talking about friends and families. So, Joy, I know that you went to the Ukraine and I went to Taiwan and Japan. And while I was in Taiwan, I made a host of friends. I've made so many friends that coming back, I wanted to go back. When I was in Taiwan, I had the opportunity of gaining two Chinese sisters. One was younger and one was older. And I did mention this earlier. I had the opportunity of even going back to Taiwan and being a part of my younger Chinese sister's baptism. And my older Chinese sister, she was the one who would cook for me every Tuesday, and I would go to her house and we would just spend time getting to know each other and just hanging out. So yeah, those were some interesting ways that we connected with students who became like family to us. I know for sure that at least to this present day, I am still in touch with my younger Chinese sister. I'm not sure where my older Chinese sister is right now, but when I went back, I was able to see her. Um, so, how did it all come about? I remember one day I was teaching a class, and my Chinese, the younger one, she came over to me and she's like, "Oh, we should be sisters. We can be sisters." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'd love that idea." And I was one of her first students. I was one of her first teachers at the English center that we had. And as a result, we became pretty close. We would go out together, hang out. Um, we would go shopping. We would go restaurants. The class would go together, and she would come over to our apartment where we would have where all the teachers were. And when I went back, I actually stayed at her home. So I met her parents and her mom. She made me clothes because her mom would sew. Her mom made me clothing. So I was like a part of their family. So it was really interesting because not only did it start there on in Taiwan, but it also went further because she later on moved to the US, and I was able to be a part of her wedding. We promised each other that we would be in each other's wedding. I was a part of her wedding, and she later on would be a part of mine as well. So it was, it's I would say that I left Taiwan with so much, not even just friends, but people who became like family. How about you, Joy?
I met so many people. As you know, as teachers, you do meet people, but there were some students that just were closer than others. Some that would want your every spare moment type, people. And I had a few Helens. I don't know if you've seen in my the previous video where I'm doing their hair. They would want to do hair, do braiding, and so on. So I had three Helens in total who were my students. And, it's like every weekend or spare moment that I had, it was one of them that wanted me to do things with them. And quite soon, one of the Helens became a bit closer. There was also a little one called Nostia, and she was my little sister. Well, I'm older than they are, all of them, and so she became my little sister, and her mom became, a mother figure to me in terms of, you know, having somewhere to go to feel like home. And one of the Helens, which is to this day, she's now in this country because of the war that's going on over in the Ukraine today. She is, we're quite close, and her mom, after so many years, meeting them up again, it was just amazing. So just remembering the times when we used to go to her house for Easter, every little special celebration that you would do with your family, they would invite me, like for Christmas, for Easter, you know, around the holidays, they would, invite me to their home. So yes, I did meet them. All of them I met within the school, within my classroom. And yeah, Helen was one of, I remember another one called Julia, but we've lost contact now. Julia, she was very young. She was one of my teen students. I remember she was very, very young. And there was one 9-year-old called Yana who looked up to me as, a mommy type, type figure. Because everything I would say, she would suck up every word, and then she would tell her mom, this is what I'm doing now, or this is what. So yeah, I made loads of friends along the way while I was there.
Yeah, it's so interesting because one of the things that we were told upon training when we had orientation to get to the different places that we were heading to, part of the training was to have a type of friendship evangelism. So we would be building our friends while just building friendship while sharing the love of God. So we we literally had tons of friends. All of our students became friends because we not only had Bible classes or English classes with them, but we also went out with them. We also had like social activities at the church, at the center. We did lots of activities with them. We went to retreats, camping, we went hiking, we would exercise together, we would go to their homes. Um, we would go to different parts of the country with them. Like I remember when I first got to Taiwan, one of my students told me that she wanted to take me out for the day. And she got me early in the morning. She had her motorcycle and we went. I don't, to this day, I don't remember where it is that we went because I was very fresh in the country. I didn't know places. And we just went riding the motorcycle. We went to the beach. We went to different places. She showed me around and the whole day, just hanging with her. And so there is no way that if you're hanging out with people that much and that often that you won't build your friendships. So, and they did it continuously. So it was every week, or you're going out with either different groups, different classes, or the same group of people. And like you said, there are those who would get closer to you than others. And that's how my Chinese sister and I, it was like she was just hanging out with us constantly. She would hang out with me, and she and I were very similar, so we got along very well. I also had opportunities of building that bond and friendship with the other student teachers who were there. I know that I had friends, my roommates, who were from South Africa, and they were from some from America, some from South Africa, some from England. When I was in Japan, I met a lot of British folk in Japan, and we just build a bond because that when you're there in another country and you don't speak the same language, you definitely connect with the ones that do speak the same language with you on a whole other level because you need each other, like, to get by. But what was your experience with the other
It's
student teacher?
funny. It's funny that you would say that because I didn't have that experience at all. You know, the ones I had, obviously I told you I was myself and another um, teacher from America was there initially, my first year. And then towards the ending of the first year, another couple came. They were from America as well, but we were never, I was always closer with my students than with the teachers, if you know what I'm saying, because I'm always off somewhere. I didn't really get much time because the other people who came from America, they were a couple, they were husband and wife. And
Mm,
so if they were single, maybe if the girl was
yes.
single, maybe I would, bond more with her. Not that we didn't bond. We spoke and said hello and do whatever, but it was nothing like the relationship that I had with my students. It was closer. Um, I was going to say, as you were talking just now, I remember Nastia's mom, Larissa, and Larissa, I love cooking and I do it very well. And so I always wanted to learn, like, their cuisine and how they made certain things. And we also shared that with her mom. And she would teach me, how to make the Russian borscht, the pierogi, all the kapuska, cabbage, all of those things. She would teach me how to make those things that the way they do it. I would find it very interesting when she's preparing some because it was different. There was also a kind of potato dish that she would I always wanted to learn because she's a creative person in cooking, and we bonded very quickly over that. So I didn't really have much time communicating with the other teachers in my spare time. It was mainly school, in school class, in between classes. You'd see them in the staff room and you'd say hi and you'd exchange words, giggle a bit, and yeah. We were from different cultures as well, so it was kind of different to,
Mhm.
yes, we spoke, don't get me wrong, we spoke, but it wasn't anything meaningful for me,
Mm,
meaningful that you're forming meaningful relationships. It was my students, Helen, the one that's here now. Her father really took a likening to me when I went there. I remember we went to the sea. They have a river called the Dnieper River, and it's connected with the Black Sea. So it's a black river. Like, you go there, the water looked black, very black. And so we would go there, as you're mentioning, cycling and so on. They were nature people. And I said were because he now passed away, after I left the mission field, a few years after, Helen connected to tell me of his passing. But we would go on riding trails, and I remember one day, they found out that I could sing, and they wanted me to sing by the riverside. So things like that, you would be busy. I'd be busy doing with them as a family. It was just beautiful.
that's so sweet.
It was just lovely. And so yeah, for me, my experience was completely different. It was all about my students and bonding with their family. The mom as well, she really really took to me. She was always trying to share some kind of, they would do eggs around Easter time. And obviously we don't believe in what they believe, concerning Easter. But just she would want me to be included in, they would dye the eggs, paint the eggs, and she would want me to be a part of that. Just welcoming like a family. So yeah,
Yeah.
that was my experience with
That's
the
still beautiful.
students. It's
That's
lovely.
still
Yeah.
beautiful. I mean, it was different, but it was still beautiful because that's your
Yes.
experience. For me, because I was at a school where it was it was the largest school in Taiwan. And so they had several teachers.
Okay.
So, and we all lived in the same apartment complex. So it was like, you go upstairs, you meet a group of people, you go downstairs, there were other teachers, you know. So we had several teachers from different parts of the world in the same building, in the same compound. As the church was right across, like literally you came out of the apartment and you walk across the pavement and the church is there.
Mm.
And right around the corner on the other side of the pavement, the boss's house was there. So everybody was in the same location. So
Vicinity.
you're
Mm.
right, we bonded with everybody there because we were constantly around each other. The boss was there, the pastor was there, so it was easy way for us to connect with each other. So we went out as a group of teachers. We went out as a group of teachers and pastor. We went out as a group of with teachers and students. So we had all of those connections, and it felt like a family. And if something was wrong, we had a support of each other. And you would bond with other teachers, students, because there are times when my roommate would come and say, oh, my students is inviting us to go, invited me to go somewhere. Would you like to come? So if you were
Mm.
free, you would go with her and her students, and you would
Mhm.
bond with her and her students, as we all did that. So we make a lot of friends. And that is just the older people. We haven't even touched the surface of the kids. And when
Yeah.
I was in Japan, I felt like I had a lot of kids because I taught a kindergarten class that had probably about 100 kids. Went to different classes.
Mm.
Yeah, like we would go to teach them, and when we were leaving, they won't want us to go. They would hold on to our legs. You would have like 10 kids grabbing onto your legs.
Mhm.
When I say you're stuck and can't move, you can't move. They would hold on to you and they wouldn't want you to go. It was the cutest thing. And so we connected with the little ones, and I love little kids. So I connected a lot with the little ones. Even at our English center in Japan, we would have different kids classes. And we connected with those students as well. We would go to their homes, we would go out with them as well, have little programs at the center for the little kids.
Mhm.
um, and so it's we connected with kids, we connected with adults. And we were just even in Japan. I remember us being, Japan was a little different from Taiwan, whereas with Taiwan everybody was sort of in a similar vicinity. We did have other student missionaries in other parts of Taiwan that we would see from time to time as well. But in Japan, there was just two of us
Oh,
at one school. So it was myself and my roommate, and it was us throughout the whole year. And we had some other students, missionaries who were in Tokyo, and we would go visit them when we had breaks. And there were like 4 or 5 of them in one school, so they had more. So we would go over because we weren't too far away, and we bonded with them and we hung out. We went to trips, like we went to Disney, Tokyo Disney World together. We planned different vacations together. So we connected. I remember even connecting to the point where when I was leaving Japan, 2 of my students came to visit me 2 weeks after.
mm.
Yeah, they came to visit me, and I took them around different parts of the US. We went traveling, and yeah, I remember 2 girls. I don't know where they are now. I haven't been in touch with them. I've well lost touch with them, I should say. Not haven't been, but we were in touch for a while. But now, yeah. So it has been quite an experience getting to know people in different, of a completely different culture that I know I would have never gotten a chance to. So, what are your lessons learned from this, Joy?
God provides. That's my lesson that's learned from this. God provides. Because even being, in such a strange place, not having any familiarity in culture, He still provides in the culture that you're in. He provided for me, by way of my students, my teachers, my directors. He provided. And so, even though some of my loneliest moments are the moments, as you're talking just now about connecting with your teachers, I'm just thinking back. If I had that closeness with the teachers there at the time, my low moments would not have been so low. But I guess that's what made it the experience, it was. But my lessons definitely that, in every situation, no matter how bad it gets, God is going to provide. And He provided family outside of me being away from my immediate family. I did meet, people who were very, very, what you call it now, intentional in
Mhm.
the connection we made. And, to this day, we're in connection with these individuals, and they're still, extended family today. So,
Right.
yeah, God provides. And I just want to thank the Lord publicly for, that testimony of Him just supplying my needs,
Mhm.
my every need. Because I obviously, there's a need of family on the mission field. You do miss your family. And
Yeah.
just, thanking Him for providing um, when the need arose in my time. And
Yeah.
still to this day, is still in contact with some of these individuals. So, yeah, it is a blessing indeed.
Yeah.
What about yourself?
I mean, I would say that to me that God breaks down barriers. That's my lesson, that God is able to break down barrier. Because, as we were leaving to go across the world on a mission, in some sense, you're thinking, wow, how will I ever be able to function well in a country where I do not even speak the language, where I don't understand the culture, where I don't know the foods and how to do things there. But the people there, I can say I have more good experiences, so much more than the bad ones. When
Mm-hmm.
it comes to the people, I felt like the people were so kind and so friendly and so accommodating and so they open their arms to you. The experiences that I've had with people there, I said that friendship broke down the barrier of language. Like people
Mm-hmm.
communicated with me with a very little bit of English that they knew because I didn't know their language. I was going into their country not knowing their language.
Mm.
And they spoke to me in my language. How crazy is that? They spoke to me in my language. So that's a barrier. That could have been a barrier that could have kept people from connecting. But that barrier was broken down and we were able to connect on a level that is lasting because like to this day I still have friends, not only other teachers but others, but the students and the natives of those countries who are still in connection with me, that I can say, wow, this has been a
Mm-hmm.
blessing. So
Mm-hmm.
God can break down barriers. I know I had a student who wrote me for years after I left Japan, and he was an older man. And he
Mm-hmm.
would write me, tell me about his family and about his life. When I had left Japan, he was not yet baptized. And he wrote me and told me that he had gotten baptized.
Amen.
And he used to, I remember he used to smoke a lot. And he told me that it was the toughest thing for him to get rid of, but he got baptized.
Mm.
And so God can break barriers down. Don't let anything stop you from doing whatever God is calling you to do because God can. He is able. So don't let anything stop you. And that's my
Mm-hmm.
lesson.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you so much, you all, for joining us on this episode. We hope you learned something. We hope you're encouraged by us sharing our experience. And we hope that you'll join us again for our next episode. Take care. God bless. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so that go and reach many other people. Okay, take care. See you again.
I'm Michelle.
And I'm Joy.
I live in the US.
And I live in England.
And we were across the world
On a mission.